Hello, Namaskar. A warm welcome to this new episode of the ongoing series, which is a collaborative effort by Bachpan ke Pitare Se and Little Storytellers. Making way to hashtag inclusive community, a podcast of hope. All children can learn, just not the same day or not in the same way. These are the words by George Evans. A quote that turned to a driving passion for the guest of today's episode. Any guesses, Nina?
Of course, Deepa. It's none other than Lakshmi Narasimhan ma'am.
Yes, Nina, you guessed it right. We are so honored to have her in our episode. You know, Lakshmi Narasimhan ma'am is an educator, an ever optimistic mother, and an advocate for neurodiversity. A parent and a special educator who has been working in the field of inclusive education, mentoring and supporting students for more than 2 decades. Just imagine, more than 20 years. She has been helping out the students in an inclusive school also and individually also to realize their potential and march ahead in life with heads held high. She understands inclusion from both the parents and the school's perspective and works towards inclusion in its truest sense. She firmly believes that inclusion is an ongoing process and needs to be worked on by the community as a whole. She has experience both with Indian and international curricula and has successfully supported scores of students in bridging their learning gaps and confidently moving ahead in life. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you so much for accepting to be a part of Bachpan ke Pitare Se and Little Storytellers. आपके इनपुट्स की बहुत जरूरत है और आपसे मिलके हमेशा ही अच्छा लगा है आपके साथ काम करके, तो थैंक यू सो मच एंड हार्टी वेलकम.
Thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure to be here and to talk on my favorite topic, my passion, that's my life. So, very happy to be here.
Ma'am, there was this quote now, all children can learn. So, we are curious, and I'm sure the audience is also curious. How did this become your driving passion, driving force?
I came across this quote. So this is not my own personal quote, although I forget the author. I came across this quote a few years after I started working with special needs children having learning challenges. So it was, all children can learn, just not the same way or on the same day. So this is so true. As so many children, what happens is, when we adults see a children, we immediately we pass judgments on them. You know, like, okay, this child looks smart. This child is able to answer quickly. They are giving eye contact. And then we base our judgment on a few minutes of our observing them, or beforehand only we might have heard of this, so-and-so's child is so smart. So immediately, or if somebody says uska bachcha to thoda theek nahi hai, so what we do is, we don't base our judgment objectively. This happens in schools with teachers, everyone. So the child enters a classroom, the teacher sees for the first time, the teacher is already ready with the judgment. So the child never gets a chance. There are many children who, as I will tell, all children who, given a chance, they are able to do everything. And another very important, so this is, I'm talking about in general for all children. Now for our neurodiverse population, जिनको हम थोड़ा अलग मानते हैं औरों से, तो उनके लिए क्या होता है कि वो बच्चे एक साथ एक टाइम पे क्लासरूम के साथ में शायद समझ नहीं पा रहे हैं, पर अगर उनको थोड़ा अलग तरीके से समझाया जाए, थोड़ा टाइम दिया जाए, वही कंटेंट, उतना वही करिकुलम बच्चा सीख जाए. और ये भी होता है, ये भी मैंने देखा, अभी तो मेरे को टीचिंग में ही 30+ इयर्स हो गए. तो ये मैंने देखा है कि कई बच्चे ऐसे हमारे हमारे लाइफ में भी हमने देखे हैं कि छोटे में तो कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं, जैसे बड़े होते हैं, अडल्ट हो रहे हैं, बड़े हो रहे हैं, ब्रेन उनके मैच्योर हो रहे हैं और वो कहीं आगे निकल जा रहे हैं।
करेक्ट।
हमने हम जैसे सोचते हैं, द वे वी think about them. So I promised to myself that day, it would have been around 20 years back, that I'm not going to judge any child the moment I see it, or on the basis of their grades, or of anybody's opinion, or even their assessment reports. I will only judge a child when I'm not going to judge a child anyway, a child or a person. But then I will always feel that any child can learn, and thankfully, whichever child that I have had my pleasure to deal with, all children have improved. All children have gone way beyond what was expected of them, and so they are all going along on their life's path beautifully.
करेक्ट।
So
मेरे ख्याल से हमने भी, मतलब अगर मैं अपने पर्सनल लाइफ का एक्सपीरियंस देखूं, अपने इंटरेक्शंस का देखूं, तो वी यूज्ड टू हैव फ्रेंड्स, we have seen friends, and in my family, or if I take my own example, so I was never a top scorer in my class. I was always considered as an average student depending on the marks, but it never meant that I was not intelligent. तो जब छोटी थी, जब मैं पढ़ रही थी, तब मुझे रियलाइज नहीं होता था कि मेरे मार्क्स क्यों कम आ रहे हैं, या मुझे 2 महीने ज्यादा क्यों लग रहे हैं सेम कॉन्सेप्ट समझने के लिए. बट व्हेन आई बिकेम अ मदर, आई रियलाइज्ड कि वो 1 महीने का जो हम गैप रखते हैं, कोई अगर जुलाई बॉर्न है, कोई अगस्त बॉर्न है, या कोई मार्च बॉर्न है, इन तीनों बच्चों के परफॉर्मेंस में डिफरेंस आ रहा है. कोई मैं अपनी बेटी की बात करूं, जब मुझे स्ट्राइक हुआ कि ये गड़बड़ थी मेरे साथ, तो मेरी बेटी ना, मतलब हम प्ले स्कूल में कह सकते हैं या ग्रेड 1 में इस आसपास, तो वो जुलाई बॉर्न है और इसका एक फ्रेंड है वो मार्च बॉर्न था. तो अब ये जो 2-3 महीने का गैप था, वो मुझे कैसे समझ में आया, क्योंकि अगर हम कुछ दे रहे हैं उनको, एक सर्कल सपोज बनाया या स्क्वायर बनाया, और उसको मैंने एक्सपेक्ट किया कि तुम उसको कट करो ऑन द लाइंस, तो वो थोड़ा सा आगे पीछे हो रहा था. और वही वो जो मार्च बॉर्न था, वो एकदम परफेक्ट लाइन पे कट कर रहा था. ठीक है. और ऐसे एक तो मोटर इश्यूज थे, लेकिन ये कभी भी नहीं महसूस हुआ कि वो ज्यादा इंटेलिजेंट है या ये कम इंटेलिजेंट है. नहीं, क्योंकि अगर हम उनकी ओरेटरी स्किल्स देखते, उनका हम एकेडमिक परफॉर्मेंस देखते, तो वो बिल्कुल एट पार थे. बट कहीं कहीं किसी किसी जगह पे वो डिफरेंस दिख रहा था. सो दैट वाज द टाइम इट क्लिक्ड टू मी कि व्हाई वाज आई एन अंडर परफॉर्मिंग स्टूडेंट, बिकॉज आई वाज ऑलवेज द यंगेस्ट वन इन द क्लास, और जो सबसे बड़ा होता था दैट वाज ही और शी वाज वन ऑफ द टॉप परफॉर्मर्स. तो हम न्यूरोटिपिकल है ना.
हाँ, नहीं, अगर ये बात हमको पहले ही बता दिया जाए, तो फिर हम लोग पूरी जिंदगी इस लो कॉन्फिडेंस के साथ तो ना निकाले ना कि हम इंटेलिजेंट नहीं है. सो उससे बाहर निकलने के लिए हमें आपको अडल्टहुड में आना पड़ा, और आपको अपनी बेटी का एक्सपीरियंस समझना पड़ा, तो कहीं जाके आपको ये पूरा एक पिक्चर बना आपके लिए, है ना.
Exactly.
क्यों हम लोग अडल्ट इतनी गलती क्यों करते हैं बच्चों के साथ. इससे एंड एक और बात है कि आपका जो ब्रेन का हो गया होगा डेवलपमेंट, it might have caught up with your classmates by the time you were in the lower grades only, but because in the earlier grades you did not have a positive experience, you carried on that feeling of low self-esteem. See how the way our mind works. That's how it is. So if people, instead of looking at grades and performance, work on the child's self-esteem, we would be having a lot more capable come out of schools.
Correct. That's so true.
True, true, true. So, ma'am, while listening to the journey and that quote, I just wanted to know, as a mother and as also a special educator, in both the terms, what exactly like inclusion and diversity means to you?
Um, they are part of the same fabric, inclusion and diversity. So, diversity is the differences that we see among individuals. The differences
Okay.
can be anything. It can be on the
Mm-hmm.
basis of gender or race, or the place where they come from, rural,
Hmm.
urban. So many things
Ha,
we
ha,
have,
ha,
and
ha,
also obviously, of course, the disabilities,
ha.
differences. So all that. So, but then inclusion is when all of them are together in a community and they are able to function uh, organically together, each person being a integral part of the community. So this is what I understand this inclusion and diversity. Maybe I am looking at a ideal world, but then we have to work towards it. So they go hand in hand, because if we say inclusion, that means that we are talking about diversity. That's why we are saying that diverse people have to be included. So they go hand in hand. Oh,
Okay.
so it is something I keep on thinking about, and my mindset also keeps on changing on it. Inclusion. It is a process. It is a process. It is not a destination. It is not a product or an end. It is a process. Inclusion is a process. So suppose when people talk about inclusion, they talk about, okay, so my child is in an inclusive school, or there is the play group is inclusive, or they are in an as an adult, they are in an inclusive environment. So just being a part of an institution which is inclusive is not total inclusion, right?
Correct,
The inclusion
correct.
should be everywhere, so much that we don't need that word.
Right.
We don't need to use that word. So that is, I would like to change the word into assimilation. Assimilation, totally being a part of the community, the larger community. So everyone should be assimilated, and everyone should be aware that yes, there are differences. No two people
Yes.
are alike,
Hmm.
and accepting of all those things. So I would rather name it assimilation.
Assimilation, a nice term, because
Mm,
it is true when we look at our own body parts, everything is not the same way, right? So there are
exactly.
differences, but we are moving, we as a whole part or human being, we are doing our best, right? So yes,
Yeah,
assimilation is rightly.
that's a beautiful analogy. Body part and assimilation. That's how it is, no? So we don't need two hearts or 20 hearts. We just need one heart. But then we need all the other body parts also.
Correct.
So each is needed. Same way, in a society also, everyone is needed. Everyone has their own role.
Correct. So, ma'am, as you said, you have been into teaching for 30 years, and in the field of special education or inclusive education, you have been there for almost more than 20 years. So, how is inclusive education different from the mainstream education?
Okay. So here it is, I'm going to talk about what normally people understand by inclusive education and mainstream education. Although the true meaning, they are the same thing, but what people understand is mainstream education is where we are uh, the schools which are catering to the neurotypical children, who are able to sit in a class, who are able to pay attention, and who are able to understand whatever the teacher is telling and perform accordingly. So that is what is people think of as mainstream schools. And now inclusive schools are those schools which have the children, the children whom I talked about just now, the so-called neurotypical children, also others with learning challenges. So there can be children who have ADHD, so they are not able to focus on one task for a long time. They keep on moving, fidgeting. They would, when they are younger, they would run around, run away from the class, all those things. Or children who are in the spectrum, who are autistic, so they seem to be not to be there. They seem to not to understand what the teacher is saying. They don't respond in a way that the teacher is expecting them to respond. So having children like that in a classroom is obviously for a child, for a teacher, it's a huge challenge.
Correct.
So any school, before taking on children with learning challenges, will have to think hard and strong about, okay, if we are taking, how are we going to help them? So at the end of the day, each and every child is coming to school to learn. So how are we going to impart the learning to the child? If the child is not learning in a particular way, so how can we help? Okay, one is the teacher can make differentiated instructions. Okay, so then if a child is not listening too much, the child zones out, giving the child visual instructions, worksheets which are visual, so that the child understands. That is one way. So the teacher makes a lesson plan. The teacher has to do these differentiated learning. The teacher goes near the child and gives individual instruction. Can you please open this page? This is what you are supposed to do. You have to look at the board, copy the first line, like that. So the teacher takes care. So that means that the school management has to train the teacher, make the teacher aware. And they also should be having supporting staff, There should be special educators, counselors, and depending on, maybe they can have speech and speech therapists, occupational therapists. Supporting staff is important, who understand and who are able to also help the teacher with having the child in the classroom. So that means that the common way that we understand inclusive education is, if for that to be effective, all this has to be in place. The teacher training, the support staff. Maybe we also need a shadow teacher. In spite of all this, the student is coming into the class but not sitting. So no staff can be free for the entire day so that they sit with the child. Then here comes the role of the shadow teacher. So shadow teacher is a person who is with the child, supporting the child throughout. The shadow teacher is dedicated to the child. So these kinds of supports the school should allow. So that is, that is the common way that people understand that this is what is inclusive education. So that the same curriculum is being imparted, but giving accommodations for the child whose learning challenges are more. So that is inclusive education. So a lot of accommodations are being done, and most children do learn. And as they grow, their brain matures, and we can wean them away from all supports, and they become independent as they go on to higher grades. Of course, all this is individual. So for the level of independence of each child will be at different stages. Some children might take longer. Some children might not. So that is the same way as we are. Diversity is there. So this is what I understand by the difference between mainstream education and inclusive education. So
you mentioned two terms. First,
shadow teacher.
shadow teacher. और दूसरी चीज you said कि जो टीचर है वो एक ऐसा लेसन प्लान लेके आती है एंड एक्स्ट्रा वर्कशीट्स लेके आती है फॉर दैट neurodiverse child or a child with learning disabilities, or if it is the right term to use. So does this make the speed of teaching, जैसे हम लोग सबका स्कूल्स में सिलेबस हमारा डिफाइंड होता है, प्री डिफाइंड, राइट? तो ऐसे बच्चों को अकोमोडेट करने से क्या स्पीड स्लो हो जाती है बाकी क्लास की? If we have one child or two child, for example, जो नहीं जिनके लर्निंग में हमें सपोर्ट करना है, ज्यादा सपोर्ट करना है, तो अगर ऐसे बच्चे क्लास में होते हैं तो उससे क्या द स्पीड ऑफ टीचिंग इज अफेक्टेड और द लेसन प्लान इज अफेक्टेड. और आपने शैडो टीचर के बारे में बोला, द पर्सन हु सपोर्ट्स दिस चाइल्ड इन लर्निंग इन द क्लास, मेन स्ट्रीम क्लास, राइट? तो does this mean कि एक शैडो टीचर एक बच्चे के लिए मतलब को सपोर्ट कर रही है, या एक एक्स्ट्रा टीचर है हमारे क्लास में? से फॉर एग्जांपल आज की क्लास में हमारे पास में आइडियल जो आजकल स्टूडेंट एंड टीचर रेशियो चल रहा है, there's 25 to 30 kids in one school, in classroom. ठीक है, तो अगर इन अ क्लासरूम ऑफ से 30 चिल्ड्रन, एक बच्चा या दो बच्चे ऐसे हैं जिनको लर्निंग के लिए हेल्प की जरूरत है या सपोर्ट की जरूरत है, तो हमारे पास में एक शैडो टीचर होगा या दो शैडो टीचर्स होंगे, या फिर एक मेन टीचर एंड शैडो टीचर एक और, जिससे अगेन इट कैन बी अ डिस्ट्रैक्शन फॉर अदर न्यूरोटिपिकल चिल्ड्रन. सो हाउ डज दिस वर्क इन अ classroom scene day to day?
Okay, good question. Actually, it's an excellent question because it is something that is the reality that is what happening. One is we talk about the ideal situation, all that, but then we have to work in today, right now, what is happening. So अगर स्कूल को दो टीचर रखने हैं तो फिर वो स्कूल की तरफ से आएगा. The school has to appoint another teacher. Okay, so some schools take that decision. And so if the second teacher is a person who is trained to deal with neurodiverse students, then maybe that might work. But even then, if in one class you have got 2 or 3 students who are neurodiverse, that teacher also will find it very difficult to manage all 3 in the classroom, because as far as neurodiversity happens, each child is unique and it is very difficult to combine them and do the same thing with them.
Correct.
One child might be very fast at writing, but then they'll keep on running away. One child might not even be able to hold the pencil. So for that teacher to support the children, so it depends on the level of the challenges that the child is facing or that are present in the classroom and the policy of the school. Okay, so now shadow teacher is different. Shadow teacher is not from the school side. It is the parent who is giving that support to the school. So that shadow teacher is dedicated to the child. That is what is happening in most schools. There are some schools who have teachers like that, but then those are very few that who call them shadow teachers. So by definition, the shadow teacher has to shadow the child. So one shadow cannot shadow 2 children.
Okay.
So shadow teacher has to support the child, one child. So understand that particular child's challenges and then support the child accordingly, so that they are able to integrate into the classroom. And the another question you had asked was that an adult being present in the classroom, is it distracting? Yes, definitely it is. So that means that particular adult has to be trained.
Okay,
they should understand that question. Yeah, so they should understand that what is their role and what they should be doing. So that is very, the school should have clear-cut policies, and the shadow teacher should also have training, basic training, good training, and some ongoing support also, so that they are able to support the child for the role that they are in. Their role is to help the child integrate into the classroom. It will happen gradually, but then that is very important. So the training for the shadow teacher is very important. Otherwise, what happens is, instead of it being a support, the teacher who is there in the classroom, the teacher is supporting the child, the teacher is supporting the shadow teacher also. I have seen instances when the moment a child is having a, say, meltdown, the child is starting to cry, lying down on the floor, the shadow teacher is nowhere to be found. She herself has panicked, having no idea how to deal. So these things have happened. I have seen it happen. So the person who comes in wanting to be a shadow They themselves have to understand what role they are, and then they have to be trained. Otherwise, it's not their fault also. We cannot blame them. You just can't say that somebody is saying, okay, yes, I'll be your child's shadow, you pay me so and so, but then that won't work. So
I was
That
about
has
to
to-
ask.
Equipped होना चाहिए इस इंसान ने.
हाँ, ट्रेनिंग भी होना चाहिए और ऑनगोइंग सपोर्ट भी होना चाहिए. चलो ट्रेनिंग दे दिया, शैडो टीचर की ट्रेनिंग ओरिजिनली जो होती है आउट ऑफ स्कूल ही होती है. वर्क एनवायरनमेंट में तो नहीं होती, स्कूल के अंदर में, क्लासरूम के अंदर में नहीं होती, बाहर ही होती है. तो जैसे ही वो आती है क्लासरूम में, तो उसको समझ आ जाता है कि माय ट्रेनिंग एंड दिस, although I had been warned, I had been trained, but the actual what I'm facing is something different altogether. How will I manage it? It is difficult. It is difficult for anyone. And so this ongoing support is very important. Ongoing mentoring. So meeting them every week. The person who has trained should take on the responsibility of meeting them once a week, talking to them, being available to them every day, so that they can support, they can explain, they can tell strategies to manage, they can explain why this has happened, why did this child behave in this way, or they can understand that, okay, what is happening in the classroom, and then make a plan. Okay, tomorrow you go with this plan. So if anything done in a structured way works. So you have to always keep on reflecting back. Okay, today this happened. Today was a good day because these things happened. Tomorrow, let us see. And if tomorrow is not as good, so then let me take a step back. Let me talk to my mentor so that I understand, and let me learn, and let me support the child better. So that what should be happening. There are some institutes which are offering this kind of training, but very, very few. Most shadow teachers come in without an idea. So their role becomes more of just, being a nanny.
So there is a difference between a nanny and a shadow teacher, right?
Shadow teacher is a partner in the learning for the child. Nanny has to just take care of the child, their needs, basic needs. So
खाना खाया,
Like
पानी
Deepa-
पिया, toilet गया. All these are the nanny jobs, but the shadow
Nanny's
teacher
job.
is supposed to be only for the learning purpose,
Learning purpose.
academic
Correct,
learning or the motor skill learning, right?
supporting the child, understanding that this child is not getting what is happening in the class. So how can I support this child to learn what is happening in the class?
In the class. Correct.
Yes. So this should not be happening. It is happening with some shadow teachers, with some institutes who are giving this training and ongoing mentorship program. So it should be ongoing. Senior people who have had years of experience are giving these kinds of programs. So, but most cases that I have seen, that is not there.
Shadow.
So
Because as you mentioned, some of the schools have shadow teacher, but as you said, they themselves have to be well knowledge about how to deal with the situation. Like if the child is there is a meltdown process or
Meltdown.
something. Yes. So as Deepa said, 25 to 30. When I talk about Kendriya Vidyalayas or even private school where I have been working, it's not just 30 students. It's above 45. It depends. You have 4, 5, 6, even till F. There is A to F sections in classes where you have, and all these sections have 40 to 50. For KB, I'm sorry to say, there are 60 students in some classes with right from the primary level, and one teacher handling the primary section with all the other things, the substitutions and all those things. Then in that case, there are times when the teacher is not able to even focus on the normal child along with those children, like we have hyperactive students or like that. So there was I heard someone saying that the peer support, if you train the peers, the students themselves helping one another, how much do you think that can help, at least to calm the child? And the child, it won't happen in a day, but gradually that happens, and then the teacher also can help. Or any suggestion about this?
See, peer support, I mean, I'm talking out of my experience. I have also worked in schools with 60, 70 students
Yes.
in a class. I have worked. Peers, no, peer support works very well when all the other supports are in place.
Correct.
Peer supports helps in assimilation.
Ha.
Assimilation, the word that I used earlier, peer
Yes,
support
yes.
helps there. So there, that the pressure of taking care of all the aspects of a child is not on the peer. It is
Ha.
taken care of by the other adults, but the peer is taking care of them being part of a group.
Correct.
So if there is a group work happening, and then you assign a peer who you know has the capacity to support, then what will happen is that peer will say, okay, I have to do only this much, because they are also children, right?
Correct.
So that child will think, okay, for this project only I have to support and I have to do this much, because the teacher is very clear that you have to support, and then maybe you will get a extra credits for that, or a certificate, or something. So I had instituted, like in my early days when I was working as a special educator, so we had instituted a very nice peer support program, buddy system in the school. So for all our children, we had talked to the class teacher and assigned buddies. So the buddies, they were the buddies for the entire year, and at the end of the year there used to be a special assembly where they were called, their parents were called, they were given a certificate and a prize and all that. That was all nice. But what happened was the mistake that we did, that we assigned the same peer for the whole year.
Oh.
Next year when it came around, most of them withdrew.
Yes.
They didn't want to be buddies anymore, because it was putting immense pressure on them.
Yes, it's
They
a
could
burden.
not. It is a big burden. They could not have their own things, like talking with their friends, running on, because they had the responsibility of this child. So then we came with, okay, we understood, because they are also children. They have their own needs.
Correct.
So then what we did, we started rotating. One month one. So this is kind of an experiment. So in order for it to work, a lot of the structure of the school, how does the school work? Are there many group activities happening? Is the school only mostly inside the classroom, or they go often out? So depending on all that, the school has to come up with some kind of a proper planning. That is very, so having this buddy system is good, but it will not work without proper planning, and it will be, and I cannot figure out one plan for any school. For each school, it is going to be.
It differs. True. Very true.
So then it works, because that sensitizes the neurotypical child also. The child is also growing. That child is also benefiting. They become more tolerant, flexible. They understand. So then it also helps our neurodiverse child.
Correct.
So
I think the shadow teacher part and the peer part, and setting up the education system of any school, be it any XY school, it has to be in such a way that it helps everyone, because the teacher also gets some help. The students again. Yes. So I think that is when you call that the term assimilation comes into existence, right? So
yes.
True.
Moving ahead, ma'am, I would like to ask you your experience with NIOS, and you can also tell the audience what NIOS stands for and how is it useful for children with learning disabilities.
So NIOS is the short form of National Institute of Open Schooling. So this is a system which was set up to help those people who are out of school for any reason. They get a chance to get a basic education. So it is meant for everyone. So, and it has no age bar. I mean, like if for class 10th you can register at the 814, and then people can register even at any age, 18, 19, 100, whatever, so that everyone gets a chance to learn. So the way the system is set is that there are study centers all over the country. So each student is assigned to a study center. Learning material comes to the student directly, the books and all, once the student has registered and paid the fees and all that. The fees are pretty nominal. They are not. So that means that it is accessible to a whole lot of people. So now then comes the part of imparting the curriculum. That is where the most important. So they have these personal contact program classes for each subject. So normally every 6 months there is one 10 days or 15 days program happening in the study center where the subject matter experts come and the students can go and take those things. And they also have tutor marked assignments which the student has to do. That is like assignments. So they study certain portions, the questions are there, and the student has to write the answers, send it across, the tutor has to mark it. So that is a part of the assessment also. So this all is there. So now okay, here I'm saying my own personal opinion, okay? So it is my opinion. So for those people for whom there is a need to get a certificate that they pass grade 10 or grade 12, this works. This model will work. But what we want for our children, that they learn also as they go along. It is not just passing the exam, doing the barest minimum and just getting. So I found this out when I did it with my son. My son has done both 10th and 12th from NIOS. So I had no idea, but so once I started the journey, so I figured that the curriculum is at par with other boards, CBSE, ICSE, whatever. The curriculum is at par, and my son was nowhere near that. How is he going to achieve that? And what plans do they have? They don't have any plans, because for them it is that the person is motivated enough and they study on their own, basically. So it works for students like that to a certain extent. I have a few of my friends who have opted to be out of the regular system. Their children are neurotypical, so-called, again I'll say, because I don't like the term neurotypical. So and they are doing NIOS. But even those children need teachers.
Correct.
Teachers. Somebody has to teach. It is not you're going to read a book and you're learned, and all of us can be doctors, engineers, everything. So somebody has to teach, impart the knowledge. So here is where there is a big gap. There are many schools who are offering NIOS as one other option. Like you have my school is offering IGCSE, ICSE, CBSE, and also NIOS. But the number of children who are taking NIOS will be very less. So what happens is the teachers, because the same teacher, if the teacher is teaching CBSE, for the teacher to teach the same subject, same grade, NIOS, it will be different, because although many of the content is similar, many are different also. That means the teacher has to prepare again.
Okay.
Yeah, so that means you need more people.
Correct.
People. So like if in a school which is offering NIOS, there are 5 students taking it, and they have around 5 to 6 subjects. That means the school can't appoint that many teachers.
Correct.
So these are all very practical problems. I mean, I'm only talking about the problems. I don't know what the solutions are, frankly speaking. So what is currently happening is, some schools are offering, some children are doing, at least something is happening in the schools. Most of it is being imparted at home by the parents or maybe by some relatives or friends who is a subject matter expert or some other teacher. So the child is preparing at home with the adult's help, and then they are going and giving the exam in the NIOS center. That is what is happening. So I know of, I think, one or two schools only which are totally dedicated NIOS in Bangalore.
Hmm.
So they have proper staff for everything. So I think most such schools are needed. That can solve part of the problem. Because then, if those schools like that are open, then a whole lot of students will come and join. Because why should our children, because they are part of NIOS, what happens is most of them they stay at home. So
Correct.
they are not allowed the experience of going to school and being part of the mainstream, which my son never had. So all the 4 years he studied from home only.
Hmm.
So yeah.
So, we have the correspondence course, distance education, where
Same.
the assignments, that same way the assignments are coming home. If we have to make a schedule and sit and do, otherwise it goes like that, and then there is a re-registration option where you can again re-register and complete the course. There is no time limit. You can do it like that. So I think it can be fruitful, as you said, if you're dedicatedly doing it. Otherwise, do you think that a child who can be in the mainstream and where there are teachers to support or anything, is there any need? This NIOS is helping them, will help them in any way?
It will only help if they are given the support. Otherwise, it will not help at all. At all. So, a lot of thought has to go into it, because NIOS is modeled on the same distance education model. But distance education model, as we know it, it is applicable for adults. I am an adult. I have an urge to do some course, maybe in history. I just want to learn more, and because of my motivation, I am doing it. A child who is already struggling with learning challenges, why should they even try? So that model which was meant for adults, that is being for the students. To be honest, NIOS was not made to help the neurodiverse. The neurodiverse population found that to be the best option among those available.
Okay. That's what I wanted to clear. Thank you.
So yes, that is what it is. So then, you cannot blame the NIOS is made for all those people who could not go to school or who were school dropouts, but who are motivated to study, and it is helping them. There are scores of people who are hundreds and thousands of people who are benefiting.
Wow, that is so much of useful information. Thank you so much, ma'am, for these insights. There is a lot of learning for us today, like what is inclusive education, how is it different from the normal education, and what is or who is a shadow teacher, and she is actually not a nanny. And we got useful information about NIOS. We would like to continue this conversation, ma'am, in the next episode also. So that's all for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode, in which Lakshmi ma'am will share her personal journey, how is she helping, how as an educator, what has been her role in imparting education to children or adults both with learning difficulties. So looking forward to the next episode. That's all for today. Stay tuned for the next episode with Lakshmi ma'am again. Until then, take care. Goodbye.